10 R&B groups. 10 songs you could sing the hook to right now without thinking about it. And 10 backstages where the people who recorded them couldn't be in the same room. Lawsuits between brothers. A group where only one woman could actually sing. A reunion that fell apart over a single sentence. Those guys just don't like me. This is the business behind the harmony. Welcome back to R&B Hives, where we go past the liner notes for the real story. Let's count it down. Number 10, Mary Jane Girls, In My House. On the surface, the Mary Jane Girls were Rick James's masterstroke. 4 women, 4 distinct looks, 4 personalities, 1 group, supposedly equal. Here's what fans didn't know. The project actually started as a solo deal for one singer, Joanne "JoJo" McDuffie. Motown wanted a group, so James told them he had one, and built 3 more women around her, chosen more for image than for voice. On the actual records, JoJo sang almost everything herself, with session singers filling in the rest. The other members couldn't really carry a song, which is part of why the group struggled to perform live on shows like The Tonight Show. Eventually, James and JoJo fell out badly too. He trashed her publicly, and she said for years that she never saw real royalties from those records. It didn't end when he died either. In 2013, years after Rick James's passing, his estate sued 2 of the surviving members for performing under the Mary Jane Girls name, because legally, none of them had ever owned it. Number 9, Cameo, Word Up. Cameo started as a 13-piece funk orchestra in the 70s. Horns, percussion, the whole production. When disco died and most of those big bands faded out quietly, frontman Larry Blackmon did something nobody expected. He fired almost everybody. What was left became the lean, synth-driven sound that gave the world Word Up, one of the biggest funk records ever made. For decades, that looked like a smart business call. Then in 2018, 4 of the men who helped build that sound, Nathan and Arnett Leftenant, Gerald Bright, and Gregory Johnson, sued Blackmon for $1 million. They claimed he'd been quietly collecting all the band's licensing and touring income since 2010 and never paid them a cent, and that he'd even run a Las Vegas residency under the Cameo name without their permission. They wanted 80% of every dollar made off songs they helped write. Number 8, Climax, I Miss You. Climax made history as one of the first all-female bands where every woman actually played her own instrument. Drums, guitar, keys, bass, built from scratch by founder and drummer Bernadette Cooper. The first crack came when bassist Joyce Irby got a solo offer from Motown. Her bandmates didn't see it as a win for one of their own. They saw a betrayal and voted her out of the group entirely. But the real mess came later. Guitarist Cheryl Cooley quietly filed paperwork trying to trademark the Climax name for herself without telling the others, and then hit the road with her own version of the band. For years, there were genuinely 2 different lineups touring as Climax in different cities at the same time. When VH1 tried to get the originals back together for a reunion special, Cooley was the only one who refused to even show up. Number 7, 112, Peaches and Cream.
We do this for K-Sweat Live. Appreciate you.
112 went double platinum, sang hooks for the notorious B.I.G., and looked completely unbreakable until 2017, when the group quietly split, and nobody outside the room really knew why. The lawsuits answered that question. 2 of the members, Q and Duran, sued lead singer Slim first accusing him of secretly filing paperwork to trademark the name 112 for himself behind their backs. Slim fired right back through his own company, suing Q and Darren for performing and booking shows as 112 after he'd legally locked down the name. The fight dragged on for years, through bankruptcy filings, a versus battle where 2 of the 4 members refused to even take the stage, until a federal court finally awarded Slim $100,000 in damages against his own former bandmates. If you are enjoying this, do well to like, share, and subscribe to keep connected. Number 6. Blackstreet, No Diggity. No Diggity turned Blackstreet into a global act, but the men who actually sang it weren't even the men who owned the name. Teddy Riley and Chauncey Hannibal had quietly held the Blackstreet trademark since 1992, years before Mark Middleton and Eric Williams ever joined the lineup for that very album. For nearly a decade afterward, Middleton and Williams kept booking shows and selling tickets as Blackstreet anyway, ignoring cease and desist letters, and creating so much confusion among promoters that an entire European tour reportedly got canceled. By 2011, Riley and Hannibal had had enough. They took their own former bandmates to federal court over a name millions of fans assumed belonged to everyone on that record. Number 5. The Gap Band, You Dropped a Bomb on Me. The Gap Band was always a family act. 3 brothers out of Tulsa, Charlie, Ronnie, and Robert Wilson. And the irony of their biggest hit is something nobody really talks about. In 2009, Charlie walked away to build one of the great adult R&B solo careers of his generation, leaving his older brother Ronnie to keep the Gap Band name alive on the road. A few years later, Ronnie booked 2 solid-paying gigs for his version of the group, and watched both bookings collapse after Charlie's camp reportedly stepped in to shut them down. So Ronnie sued his own brother for the lost money, reminding the court that the band existed for years before Charlie ever joined. Back in 1972, funny enough, given the title of their biggest hit, somebody really did drop a bomb. Number 4. Guy, Piece of My Love. Guy basically invented New Jack Swing, and the chemistry between Teddy Riley and Aaron Hall is the reason a song like Piece of My Love still closes out every slow set decades later. That chemistry didn't survive the group's own success. After their second album, Guy broke apart so badly that Aaron and his brother Damien reportedly vowed they'd never work with Riley again. Years later, Riley announced a reunion, and then, according to Aaron Hall, simply disappeared from the plan to go tour as Blackstreet instead, leaving the Hall brothers performing Guy's songs without him. When Riley was eventually asked why he'd built an entirely new lineup called Guy 2.0 instead of bringing back the men who made the songs in the first place, his answer was blunt. Those guys, he said, just don't like me. Number 3. Earth, Wind and Fire, September. September might be the most universally loved record ever made. The song that makes a wedding reception lose its mind, which makes what happened next even messier. A few years after founder Maurice White passed away in 2016, a touring act calling itself Earth, Wind and Fire Legacy Reunion started selling out theaters, built around musicians who'd briefly played with the band decades earlier. The real Earth, Wind and Fire, led by Verdine White, Philip Bailey, and Ralph Johnson, said fans were showing up furious, convinced they'd bought tickets to the actual band, so they took the tribute act to federal court. In 2024, a judge agreed, ruling the marketing was deceptive and misleading. and ordering the so-called legacy reunion to stop trading on a name that was never legally theirs to sell. Number 2, DeBarge, Rhythm of the Night.
Time to get out, step out into the street. We're all
Rhythm of the Night turned the DeBarge name into a household word. For one shining moment in the mid-'80s, this family looked like they could rival the Jacksons.
you won't forget, so come join the fun. This ain't no time.
Behind that one perfect record was a childhood the siblings have since described, in their own words, as deeply troubled, and several of them turned to drugs to cope with what they'd lived through.
I have a good time the whole night long.
Group's unraveling went public in 1988, when brothers Bobby and Chico were arrested trying to move cocaine from Michigan to Los Angeles. Both were sent to federal prison. Lead singer L went on to a celebrated solo career, but he was arrested on drug charges more than once in the years that followed. And a family that wrote one of the most joyful songs of the decade spent the rest of it trying to put itself back together. Number 1, the Isley Brothers. It's Your Thing. It's Your Thing is the record that built the Isley Brothers' entire legacy. A Grammy winner so massive, it's been sampled by everyone from De La Soul to Public Enemy. The title, it turns out, became painfully ironic. Ronald and Rudolph Isley co-founded the group with their brother O'Kelly back in 1954. After O'Kelly died in 1986, the two surviving brothers operated for decades on a handshake understanding, equal partners, equal ownership of everything carrying the Isley name. In 2021, Rudolph discovered that Ronald had quietly registered the Isley Brothers as a trademark in his own name, alone. A year later, Rudolph sued, demanding half of everything Ronald had earned off it since. Looked at two Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, both in their 80s, and told them flatly, there's no way to live out the rest of your lives. Before sending two brothers, the last men standing from a group that shaped American music, toward a trial neither one seemed willing to walk away from.